Hello, this is Ollie's Movie Madness, and I'm going to be doing a movie review of Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. This film is really bad, but I don't think it is as bad as a lot of people say it is. There are some good things about it, but this is still a really bad Planet of the Apes film. And the storyline is probably the worst thing about this movie, because the storyline is not that interesting, because we follow this guy named Captain Leo David. He is this astronaut. He crashes to Earth, or to this unknown planet full of apes. He gets captured by General Thade, who enslaves him and this woman to work for him. He had to find a way to get off the planet and take down General Thade and get back to Earth, and that is the premise, and it's so stupid. And the performances are just, they're not terrible. Well, the actors who play the apes are not horrible. They're not. The actors who play the humans, on the other hand, they're terrible. Mark Wahlberg, he plays Captain Leo David, and he is horrible. I can tell that Mark Wahlberg could give less of a shit. He just plays himself throughout the whole movie, and I think he's the worst actor in this entire franchise. He's really bad in this movie. The character of Captain Leo is so boring and so uninteresting. He is the worst human character of the Planet of the Apes films. The actress who plays his girlfriend is whatever. She's just so boring. I don't have much to say about the human characters. But let's get into the stuff I enjoyed. Easily the standout performances are the actors who played the apes. Paul Giamatti plays Limbo in this film, and his performance is really fun. It's really one of the most entertaining performances in this entire film. Limbo, the character, is supposed to be General Thade's right-hand man. He is this ape who loves gambling. He enjoys treating people like garbage. And the scene where he informs General Thade that the humans are here is one of the few tolerable moments of this entire film. I do think he is the bright spot in this entire movie. Michael Clark Duncan plays General Thade's second-in-command, Arsh. And his performance is probably the second most disturbing performance in the entire movie. His motivation is that he wants to help his boss, General Thade, kill the humans and steal their resources to become more intelligent. And I think even when parts where this movie's not working, Michael Clark Duncan still does a glorious job as this character. The scene where he grabs Leo's hand and says, "Get your stick and paws off me, you damn dirty human." That was a really great line, even though it's a bad movie, but just the way Michael Clark Duncan delivered that line is tremendous. Helen Bonham Carter plays Air, and her performance is probably one of the best things in this entire movie. She gets one of the more emotional performances. At first she's with General Thade, but then she's not. And the character of Air is really interesting because she is with General Thade at first, but then she starts to feel bad for the humans. And the scene where she said that she is done working with General Thade is a really dark moment because she really feels bad for the humans. And her heroic turn in this film does work really well. And I will admit, even though I hate the human characters, I think she and the human characters do have decent chemistry. But let's talk about the performance that makes this movie really fun. And that is Tim Roth as General Thade. And look, even people who downright hated this movie, they can't deny that Roth gave one of the best performances. And his performance is very scary. You can tell he is just having a lot of fun in this movie. And General Date as a villain is the best thing in this entire movie. He's menacing, he enjoys killing people, and this ape is so scared that there's literally a scene where he mauls two of his henchmen on screen when they're in the woods. It's just really dark to see. The scene where he finds out that Air had turned against him and he says, okay, since you like being with the humans so much, why don't you have their symbol? He just brands their paw with the brand stick. It's just really dark. And I'm going to say this. I think Tim Roth played the more comic book accurate version of the Abomination than he does in the current MCU, because this is what the Abomination should have stayed like. Scary and horrifying. Not some family-friendly loser. So the fact that this movie gave us a more comic accurate version of the Abomination in the MCU just ruined the character. That's just sad. When 2001 Tim Burton movie gave us a better Abomination, that just showed that the MCU failed with that character. But looking into the worst thing about this movie, Tim Burton, which he was the wrong choice. I see what he was trying to do, but he just makes the characters boring. Aside from the apes, he does make the apes interesting, but he makes the human characters really boring. Now, he does make General Thing menacing, and he gives him, I guess, all the best lines of dialogue. And I will admit, the best thing about Tim Burton's directing is the cinematography. I think the cinematography looks beautiful. Much like in Batman Returns, the cinematography is really dark. It's very, very cool to look at. And even in a horrible Tim Burton movie like this one, people say, oh, the movie's not good, but the cinematography is amazing. But in my opinion, I think they should use someone like James Cameron. That would have been a lot better. So overall, I think Tim Burton did a subpar job directing. He did a decent job with the apes, but and the cinematography. But aside from those two things, he was really bad. He did a pretty poor job directing this film. I'm gonna show you some trivia. Before Mark Wahlberg was cast, there were a lot of actors considered for the role of Leo. Harrison Ford, James Franco, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ben Affleck. And I think Harrison Ford would have been a better choice, just because he's a lot more versatile. He's a better actor. So I think Harrison Ford would have been interesting. But the actor who was on with General Thade were Daniel Day-Lewis, Johnny Depp, which I think he would have been okay. I think he can do it. And Gary Oldman. Now that last one's interesting because later on Gary Oldman would eventually play a Planet of the Apes villain, that being Dreyfus from the 2014 film Dawn of Planet of the Apes. And I think he would have been a pretty decent choice, but I'm happy they got Tim Roth. And the interesting thing about Arsham or Ash, he was almost played by Ron Perlman. That would have been really interesting. But I think overall they casted it well for the apes. So in conclusion, I did really like this film. There are a few things I liked. I liked the apes. I think the actors who played the apes are the highlight of the film. The cinematography is awesome. But just the storyline and the human characters are just not that interesting. General Thade is the highlight of the film. And I will say I would rather watch this over Joker Folie à Deux, because this actually has redeeming qualities about it. And the way I can sum up this film, I give Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes a 5 out of 10. It's fun but flawed. It's bad but entertaining. So that is my movie review of Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes. Hope you guys enjoyed.